Hey everybody, it's Robert coming to you with another adventure into history, and on today's video we're going to be taking another look at automotive history because we've got some awesome cars here in this barn which makes these barn find cars. Let's take a look at them. All right, so I'm here with Billy who owns both of these cars, actually all three of these cars. And how did you come into possession of these? What's their story?
Well, the Fairlane, both of the cars belong to my dad. Passed away a few years ago. Fairlane, I don't remember him not having the Fairlane. It's always been at the house, under the shed. He never drove it. I don't know if he had big plans to restore it, but it just always sat there. I used to walk out in the afternoons, and when pollen was all over the car, I would sit there with a shop rag and wipe the pollen off across the top of the fins, and he would come out there and tell me to stop doing that because I was scratching the paint. And I always wondered, well, then why don't we go drive the thing and wash it? But we never did. But the cars have been, neither one of the cars have been on the road since the 80s. The last one, the Ranchero, I actually rode with him in. We ran out of gas in it, and ran out of gas in the gas station parking lot, actually. And so he jumped out and pushed, and I slid over and steered it, and we pumped it full of gas and then drove it out here. And they've just been sitting ever since. That's a Model A 31, I believe, that my dad bought at an auction for my brother, actually. I don't know if it was an estate sale or what. I think my brother had some big plans on restoring it. I think the car's pretty rough, but I do remember when we pushed it off the trailer, I put it in gear and let the clutch out. The motor spun over.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that was pretty neat. It had the original vinyl top and the chicken wire and the cotton-looking stuff up here. When we peeled all that off, we found a 1931 penny sitting
Cool.
on one of the wood bows. Yeah. So I think my brother still got that.
Yeah,
That's pretty neat.
That is.
But I was sweeping up around here this past weekend, thinking about this car actually, and thinking, man, this car is almost 100 years old. And can you imagine how many butts have been in the seat? How many groceries have been in that car? Where has that car been?
Right.
It's crazy to think of what that car could tell you if it could talk.
Absolutely.
It looks like it's been painted with a brush.
Yeah, that is too cool. And you're absolutely right about that. I mean, you know, the personal stories with these cars, it's amazing. And you also answered a question. I just saw a very similar car here recent that had the chicken wire on top, and I didn't know whether that was original or not. So
Yeah, it was kind of like a grain leather, and then it's almost like a cotton batting, I guess, that I've seen up there, and then that chicken wire was up there. There may even be some of it here on the floor. My brother started kind of taking it apart. I think the car was piled full of parts. There may be some of it around here on the floor, or it may be some mouse nest that's on the floor. I don't really know. All kinds of parts back here.
that's cool. So this one is not for sale, but you are going to be selling the other two, right?
Correct. I don't think my brother knows what he wants to do with that yet. So he's not looking to sell that yet. The Fairlane and the Ranchero are for sale. They both need a good home. So on the Fairlane, my dad actually had it, like I said, for as long as I can remember. And it did disappear for a couple of years. He sold it to a friend of his, so it was gone from the house for a few years. And then my brother had talked to my dad and convinced him to buy it back. So he bought it back, and then it came back home. He also got a 4-door parts car that we've since sold. And so that's kind of the story with that. Again, I don't ever remember driving it. When we got it back from the guy, I did put a hot battery in it and put a Pertronix in the distributor. I hit the key, motor spins over, the oil light came on for about 3 seconds and went right out. So I'm assuming it builds oil pressure. I don't think it's going to take much to get it running. Of course, the carburetor's going to have to be gone through at least. But I was kind of excited about that, and then of course life got in the way, and I never got a chance to get any further with that. So I've not tried to roll either motor over to see if they're stuck. That was when I did that with the Pertronics. That was probably 20 years ago. So
Gotcha. Well, I'll put your email address down in the comments on this video,
Yeah.
so someone can reach out to you. And you were also telling me this car, well, both of these kind of ran when parked.
Yes.
And this one may only have like 57,000 miles on it, right?
So yeah, there's a receipt in there from Meineke where the guy, the previous owner, I'm assuming, had some exhaust work done at Meineke, and it had 57,000 miles, and that was in 1980.
Yeah.
So I really don't know. I can't prove any of it, honestly. But the condition of the car, it would really look good if we pulled it outside and washed it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it has not been washed. It probably hasn't been washed in 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to think, but it hasn't seen rain in that kind of time, you know. This car, what's crazy is when we drove it out here, he parked it and it sat outside on the hill out here for a number of years, and that's what's got the paint all blistered up. I mean, I remember weeds growing above the roof. And it just sat there, and he'd mow around it. And then when he got this building built, he put it inside, so.
That's cool. And both of the interiors look like low mileage cars. Kind of looked at this one and left, if they're all original. I mean, I'm assuming nothing's ever been redone on these.
No, so Dad never redid any of it. I do remember a story my dad had told me about the car. I don't know if it's legitimate or not. He said the car was originally white and gray, and it belonged to a salesman. And the salesman saw, after a year or so of driving, one that was blue and white and liked the color combination of blue and white and went and had the blue painted. So if that story is correct, underneath the blue is white.
Yeah.
But that would have been done in the late 50s, early 60s.
Gotcha. That's cool. They are awesome old cars. It was inspected in 82, or I guess maybe that's when it expired.
Probably
Because
so,
I think
yeah.
you found the 1980 inspection, and the seats just look phenomenal in here. And, you know, do the old brake pedal test. See how much the pedal's worn. You know, how many miles are on it, but that's awesome. It is a beautiful old car. You know, I know everyone likes 57 Chevys, but I've always liked these old 50s Fords.
I think that was Dad's thing too. He was a Ford guy,
Yeah.
and he always just liked something a little different.
There's a big old Y block.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a 292 or 312. I would guess a 292.
Yeah. That's cool. With 4-barrel carburetor on it too.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So this one over here is my favorite. You never really see these. The last time I saw a Ranchero was in a junkyard of this vintage. It was in a junkyard and in terrible condition. So,
I believe 57 was the first year Ford made the Ranchero.
and just, I mean, the tail lights on it are freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, it's 100% complete.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the style though, you know. I guess that one, yeah, that Fairlane shares the same
They do, yeah.
styling, but
Yep.
it doesn't. Tags got a 76 tag on it. It says last tagged in 1980.
Tailgate works.
Yeah, heck yeah. That's awesome. Look, grab that. Yeah, that is cool. That is cool.
It certainly make a good little, like a little shop runner truck or something, you know, to
Sure enough,
run
that's.
to Home Depot or run to the parts store or something like that.
I said that earlier, that it was like, I said this would be perfect little just running around farm truck sort of thing. I like the Ranchero emblem. It's beautiful. Let's see, this one was last tagged in 80 as well.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Your independent agent, George Smith, Guess Insurance.
Is that for insurance?
Yeah. A beautiful, unique car here. And I have not seen a lot of these. This one is definitely my favorite. And we'll take a look inside of this too. Because this interior is almost perfect as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, considering the age, there's not a rip in that seat.
You know what's crazy is a lot of times you see on these old cars the glass will start delaminating and it'll look like it's got bubbles and stuff in it.
Yeah, that's right. And the door just that's awesome.
Need to get some WD-40 on it.
Yeah. But no, really cool car here. I love it.
And that was a V8 car too. Both are automatics. You know, the Fairlane being an automatic is probably pretty commonplace. The Ranchero being an automatic may be kind of oddball.
Yeah.
Oddball above, over and beyond it being a Ranchero.
Right. There it is. Hood release. Yeah, there is the hood release. Let's see. Oh, there it is.
When's the last time that happened?
Probably last time y'all were here.
Yeah.
Oh, Y block too?
Yep. Get away. Nope. Nope. Guess not. Not with that. It ain't nothing that a little automatic transmission fluid down in the cylinders won't fix.
Well, and you know, maybe the water pump's stuck too.
That's
there
true
could
too.
be.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't want to sell it with a hot battery and we'll be going to town today,
Right.
you know. It's got oil in it.
Yeah. It's not all filled up with water.
You want
so-
to taste it like Derek does and see if it's
That's the thing he does.
40 weight or 30 weight? It's probably 30 weight.
I have
That's
tasted.
80-30.
I've estimated the years of barn dust before, but I don't want to taste oil.
You know the irony? I had a rebuild kit for a 292 set around for decades. I finally got rid of it.
Oh, really? Well, darn it.
Everything. Rings, main bearing, rod bearing, everything.
If you still had it, it would have been meant to be.
Yeah.
You know,
You ever driven anything with a Y block in it?
It's been a long time. But yeah.
I have.
They don't have a ton of power.
I had a 63 Ford unibody, F100.
Yeah, all of my old Fords were 6 cylinders, except for that 302. But there it is. Beautiful interior. And this one has 47,679 miles if it hasn't rolled over.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. There's a couple good looking cars. It's amazing how much it changed in what 20 something years. It's 31 and 57. Right? That's 1931?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much the
I
styling
didn't think about
changed.
that, but you're right. In 20, 25 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Holy crap, you're right.
But I guess the same thing. I don't know. It doesn't feel as extreme, but if you park something from the 80s beside this, I guess we'd be saying the same thing. But to see these two, just the
I guess,
evolution
but
of these.
You're right. I mean, it just doesn't seem like as big of a step from 57 to 87
Right, exactly.
as this does.
All right, so we got one more piece of automotive history out here. This, what year is this? And there's something special with this truck, right?
Year.
It's a bunch of different years. So the cab, I believe, is a 75. The frame chassis is a, I believe, 71. So two different body styles.
Yeah.
This was a truck that Dad built because he wanted a truck that could do anything he wanted and pull anything that he wanted to pull. So he built this, I remember it had to be late 80s when he was putting this together. So, you know, this is before, I guess, people, you know, having diesels was prominent, you know, the thing to do and stuff like that. It was all big block stuff, you know. So he built the truck. I remember when he drug it home. He drug the it was a flatbed F350. He drug home. He bought it from his buddy and started tearing it to pieces. And he went down to the bare frame. Built the engine. It's a 390. If memory serves me, what he told me is it's a 390, but it's got a 427 crank and rods in it. Does that make it a 413? I don't know. That's kind of what I remember him saying. He got a cam ground from Crane Cams. I remember the story that he told me is he called Crane and he said, hey, I want the torque curve on this cam to come in something stupid low, like 1,500 RPM, and be done at like 3,200 RPM. And again, this is the story I remember from Dad, but it was the guys at the cam company were like, that's crazy, it's not gonna run right, that's a diesel cam. And he said, hey, that's just what I want, whatever. So that's what's supposed to be in it. I had the cam card at one time. I don't know if I still got it. But the big quirk to the truck is, well, when he had it down to the frame, he built the flatbed. He worked with a guy at a trucking company who was a good welder, stick welder. So they built the bed in the backyard. He put the oak flooring on the bed, the gooseneck hitch and all that, but he channeled the frame. He put like 4-inch channel iron inside the frame, and then he put like plate steel on both sides of the frame going back, like from the back of the cab going back. What had ended up happening is at the back of the frame, you had these two big old plates coming down, and he put a Warren winch, an old 8274, the Mac Daddy Warren winch was back there, big 12,000 pound Warren winch. He had a gooseneck trailer that he used to drag behind this thing, and he would pull the winch cable off the back of the truck through the trailer, and you could drag whatever you wanted to up on it. So, but the truck has got 2 transmissions in it. That's kind of the huge quirk to it.
Really?
And it's something that he, I don't know if he saw it somewhere before he did it, if he was just brainstorming, but it's got a new process 435 4-speed, a little drive shaft about yay long, and then what he always called a brownie box. And it's a 3-speed, so it's a direct, it's underdrive, direct drive, and overdrive. So the rear transmission's a 3-speed. And the neighbors at the time told him, oh, it's never gonna work. It works. I drove the truck in high school every day when my truck was broken, which was a lot. And so just driving the truck, somebody riding in the passenger seat with you and you're going through all 12 gears, it's kind of mind-blowing to them.
Right.
What I thought was always really cool is you could put the main box in reverse and grab the brownie and back up, hit the clutch, shift it, back up a little faster, hit the clutch, shift it, back up a little faster. That's really like, what?
Right.
But the bed dumps, he had a hydraulic dump bed on it. The guy, again, these are the stories that the Dad would tell. The guy that he worked with that did all the welding, all the stick welding on the bed, had a 4-wheel drive Jeep that had a V8 in it. And apparently at work, the guy with the Jeep was kind of talking a bunch of smack about his truck. All that, you know, he's building that truck. I don't know what he's doing. I'm going and welding for him, but you know, this truck's not going to mount to nothing. So as guys do, there's a bunch of smack talking. And then it's like, I bet you I can drag your butt across the parking lot. Well, it ended up one day after work, they chained back to back. And when they took off, Dad pulled the Jeep across the parking lot. And then the guy was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't lock my Jeep in 4-wheel drive. Let me lock it in. So they pull back up and he locks the front end. Boom, they take off again. And he's pulling and the Jeep is sitting there bouncing up and down on all 4 wheels. Doot, 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 as Dad's pulling him across the parking lot. Those are kind of the old war stories that Dad used to tell about this thing.
Right.
But I always ran good. Like I said, I drove it all the time in high school. It always had an exhaust leak. Never could get the exhaust leak fixed. And what's crazy is the inside of this truck today smells the way I remember it smelling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's weird how old trucks and cars have that, but I can open the door and I can smell, if I smell it right now, it'll take me back to driving this thing in high school.
That's awesome.
It's a neat truck though. All my buddies thought it was neat. As you know, graduated high school and life went on, and the truck sat up here on the hill. It got to where the battery was dead, and he never drove it. So he had to move it one day with the tractor. So he just put the old chain up underneath it and pulled it, broke the brake line, the metal brake line underneath the motor. So now it's a fiasco to get it stopping again.
Right.
So now the truck sits and it sits and it sits, and then I needed a truck that had a dump capabilities, and he said, well, come get this one. Well, then I go to turn the motor over, and I think what has happened is all the fuel siphoned out of the tank through the needle and seat and filled up the crankcase. So I think the motor was locked up in it.
Gotcha.
So, and again, this was 20 years ago, so I pulled the plugs and poured Marvel Mystery Oil down in all of them and put the plugs back in, and it's been sitting right here ever since.
Gotcha.
So it's a pretty neat truck.
And this one is not for sale though, right?
No, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. It's kind of sentimental right now. Yeah, the one with the orange handle, he painted it orange so that if he's telling someone how to drive it, grab the orange stick. The handle down there on the floor,
Yeah.
by the seat, that's for the dump.
Oh, that's for the dump.
Yeah.
Okay, I see the two sticks up here now.
Yep.
Too. So I didn't see that one at first.
Yeah. So that first one up there, that's what every new process, every guy that's ever driven an old granny gear 4-speed,
Yeah.
they've had a shifter like that in their hand.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Look at that old brake controller.
Oh yeah. That is cool.
If you look up underneath the truck, somewhere like right about the back of the cab, you can see that brownie box hanging down.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of gears are in there.
There was, years ago, my brother swerved to miss a dog on 219 and ended up sliding his truck over off the shoulder, went bloop, and the truck was almost sitting on its side. And he called me and he said, hey, can you bring, we called this the 1-ton. We named everything. Can you bring the 1-ton and come pull me out? What's going on? So he told me. And I said, yeah, I'll be there in a little bit. He said, well, there's a Georgia Power truck, like a big old International whatever, sitting across up here at Holland's Corner that says he'll get me out, but I got to pay him. I said, don't worry, I'll come over there. So I get over there and I pull in there, and those guys are still sitting there because he says, no, my brother's on the way. And I pull in there and they said, are you going to pull it out with that? And I said, yeah. They said, okay, well, we'll be here when you get done. Okay. So I just hooked the chain to it. And I mean, it just drugged it on out like it was no big deal. But they didn't think the old truck would do it. And then I put it in first gear, granny gear and low. And it's geared so low you could sidestep the clutch and just walk past the truck. It's roar, 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 roar. It was always fun to drive. Did not stop very well though. Yeah.
Lewis, you want to open the hood? So when the wasps come out.
It may be popped already.
You don't want to go too high with it.
There it is.
I robbed the fan clutch off of it from my old truck.
I like the snake skin over there.
Oh wow.
He was
Interesting.
Yeah.
healthy.
Okay. Okay.
There
I
you
remember
go.
when Dad painted this engine. See the fan is bright orange.
Yeah.
He painted every piece of it a different color. It looked like something off a dang clown car.
Really?
And that was just kind of his style. That's what he liked to do. He had a spot in here for dual batteries, but he never put a dual battery in here. He had a big dual remote, like a 2 oil filter thing.
Yeah.
Again, just for, to be excessive. I remember going to the junkyard and getting the cab off this truck, the gray cab, because it came off an F100. Like I said, a 75 or something like that. And it was old Macon Road Garage over there behind where the fire station is. You know what I'm talking about? And we went out there with some torches and cut it off, and ended up standing the cab up and rolling it down on a trailer. I mean, it's amazing what you do when you don't have,
Right.
you know, or what you can do when you don't have.
And I definitely had to show this for old Connect ice cream truck from the old Connect Dairies here in Columbus. Just thought that was neat. Connect Dairy is Katie the cow, right?
That's it.